Hey guys, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast where you learn how to create a beautiful home and build a creative business. Grab a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot in the house, and let's chat. I'm excited you're here. We're going to talk about something kind of near and dear to my heart today, and something that's, I think, a fun topic. We're talking about the myths that people think when they start their own business, like the 6 main myths people have about owning their own business and what that looks like. And the truth is 8 out of 10 businesses fail. And I think probably the biggest reason is because people go into a business, whether it's, having a storefront or maybe running a business online or a, creative business like myself, but they might, be having a really almost disillusioned thinking of what business ownership looks like. And so we're going to talk today about those myths and kind of my experience with each of those. And the bottom line is I don't want you to be the statistic. I don't want you to be one of those 8 out of 10 businesses that fail. And so as much as I can do to shine some light on what the reality is of business owning and show you some of the behind the scenes, it's not always the sexy stuff, but it's definitely the truth. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. And hopefully this will just bless you and give you some ideas and help you to go into some scenarios with eyes wide open. So we are going to get started with myth number 1, which is most people think that you need a bunch of money to start your own business. And that is so not the truth. I think it was probably the truth, 20, 30 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. But gone are the days of having, brick and mortar stores because so many people are doing businesses online. And one of the reasons so many people are doing businesses online is because 1, it's easy. 2, it's successful. And so if you do it right, you can, make a full-time income in 6 figures off of blogging, off of affiliate sales, off of a ton of different things that are all online where you no longer need a storefront. And so you don't need a ton of money up front to start a business. Social media is free. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. We appreciate you so much. And so, you no longer even have to pay for advertising. If you can figure out things like social media and figure out how to use them for your business's advantage and how to use them correctly and how to build a business, you can do that for free. So you're able to get online. You don't have to pay for a place to rent. You're able to do social media for free. And there isn't that initial upcharge that so many businesses used to have. I know when I started my decorative painting business almost 17 years ago now, it makes me sound like I am so old. And it's so strange because I still feel so young. But so 17 years ago, I paid a little bit of money. I invested a little bit of money up front by going to like a weekend painting course where I was able to bring back painting samples that I was able to show clients. But that sort of thing, even then, it was a minimal cost. And of course, there's things like registering your business name with the state that you live in, maybe getting some business cards made up. Anybody that's in my coaching group knows I hate business cards. Who even keeps business cards? I don't even know. Like if you keep business cards, please tweet me and let me know. But everybody else I know, they pitch them. And so I always recommend people have brochures made. Now brochures, if you're in a creative business, you want those because they're visual and most of your clients are really visual and they really want to see what it is that you have to offer. And that, of course, is going to be a tiny bit of money. And then eventually down the road, you're going to want to get a website and there's some startup costs with hosting and those sorts of things. But listen, Linda, initially, you do not need to invest a ton of money up front. And so that's the first myth, that you need to have a bunch of cash up front to start a business. And it is just not the truth. And that kind of ties in with the myth number 2, which is that you need a shop to start your own business. And this really applies to a lot of the women in my creative type of industries who think that they have to have a storefront, or that they have to have furniture for sale in a store, or that they need to have a booth somewhere, or, fill in the blank, whatever. But that is so, 5 or 10 years ago. Even just in the last couple of years, things have changed so dramatically online that you don't have to have a storefront. You don't have to be renting space somewhere. You can actually just be selling things online. Even the new Facebook marketplace is genius for creative souls like myself. Now, this is kind of a little side note, but the thing with Facebook is, I tell the women in my coaching class, you will figure out Facebook and how to make it work for a business if you just think about Facebook as being like a jealous boyfriend. Okay. So a jealous boyfriend's not going to want you to go over and play on Pinterest. This is why Facebook doesn't show as much love and Facebook juice to a Pinterest post. Facebook doesn't want you going over and doing things on YouTube. It wants you to stay in Facebook. So this is why, girls will email me and they'll say, why are my YouTube links on Facebook dying? Well, it's because Facebook's a jealous boyfriend and doesn't want you going over to Facebook. So same type of thing applies to like Craigslist. The Facebook marketplace is set up, in my opinion, by Facebook so that people don't have to get out of Facebook and go look at Craigslist. This is why Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook Live. So we no longer had to go do Periscopes. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, again for that. So Marketplace is an amazing little tool for creative people to use on Facebook for their business to sell things. And it just reiterates the fact that you do not have to have a storefront. You don't need a shop. You don't need a space somewhere to sell things online. If you do it correctly and do your social media correctly, you can do everything you need to do without having a space somewhere else. And most of the time that involves just getting to work from home, which is like the cry of my heart. Everybody that knows me knows the thought of going back and working in a cubicle just, oh gosh, what would I rather do? I'd probably rather have another baby with no epidural than have to go back and sit in a cubicle. And so you can start a business totally online. You do not need to be working outside of your home. So that was myth number 2. Myth number 3 that prevents so many talented people from starting a business is people think that you need to know what you're doing. Okay, seriously. There is no framework. There's no step-by-step. There is no 100% tried and true, fail-proof methodology for setting up a business, okay? Especially if you're a creative person. Most of us who have started businesses, we were learning as we went. And so for new people who are trying to get into business, for them to think that there is a set way of doing things, that is so not the truth. I could give you, 20 different super successful business people, and they all will have went about it from a different angle. Perhaps all have gone about it, in different steps at different times. And so the cool thing about creative people is that most of us are feelers. Okay. So God put in us this incredible ability to have gut instincts. I mean, you can call it women's intuition. You can call it mama knows best. I mean, there's a million things you can call it. Basically, it's just that we're feeling our way through things as we go, with just a hunch that maybe this is the direction that we should be going in. And I'm telling you, if you can learn to follow that with your business, that has been one of my secret sauces, that even though I have no idea half of the stinking time what I'm doing, I have put some smart people around me, and that I'm just willing to still take that next step. And so my hope for you is that you would do the exact same thing, that you would just feel your way through some stuff. You start a business just like you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So start by naming a business, start by doing the proper paperwork, with your accountant or something. Start by getting that business listed on Facebook and the other social media channels, and just start. And so, I know probably what you're thinking, that I don't have the confidence to do that, or people won't buy from me, and perhaps they won't. That's the truth. Perhaps they won't. But the only way that you're going to know is if you actually try it, give it 100%, get 100% all in, and see it where it takes you. For those of you who maybe have, a ton of self-doubt or struggle with the self-confidence thing, I have a book that I would love to suggest to you. It's called Crash the Chatterbox by my favorite online pastor, Stephen Furtick. And that book, I promise you, it changed my business. Basically, the book's premise is just that everybody has head stuff. all of us have that, voice, that nagging voice that sits on our shoulder trying to convince us that we have no idea what we're doing. And sometimes the key is just saying, you're absolutely right. I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but just doing it anyway. And so I'm sure you can get Crash the Chatterbox on Amazon or Lifeway or a million other places, but check that book out. It literally changed my life so much that my husband and I ended up hosting a Bible study for our church at our home last year for that book, because it was that powerful. And so would love to know if that if that book's something that you've already got in your library. It was amazing. And so, the truth of it is, when we start things, we have no idea where it's eventually going to take us. When I started my painting business almost 17 years ago, one of the very first houses that I was given to work in from a designer was $1 million home that had like a secret room in it, you guys. I mean, who has secret rooms? And I was so green and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to bid the thing. I had no idea how to execute the job. I mean, I literally was faking it until I made it type of deal. And thank goodness for that interior designer, who I still even do work for almost 17 years later, because she took me under her wing and she said, Jen, honey, okay, you need to charge a lot more than that. And I'm like, okay, help me, And she told me what products to use on that first big cabinet painting job that I did. And you learn as you go. And there's so much to be said for just gaining that experience as you walk through things. And so don't think that there's some step-by-step that maybe you're missing. That's totally not the truth. The truth is you just need to start and put one foot in front of the other. So myth number 4, I love this one. This cracks me up, okay? People say things to me all the time like, well, it must be nice to be your own boss and be able to take so much time off. And I just laugh and I think, oh, you have no idea the number of hours that have been put in behind the scene. The exact opposite of if you're thinking that like being your own business owner will allow you to work a lot less hours, I'm going to crush all of your dreams right this second by telling you that is not the case at all. What being your own boss will allow you to do is it allow you to choose the hours that you want to work. So if you feel like working, starting at midnight and writing until 5 a.m. or painting until 5 a.m, I mean, you can do whatever you want when you're your own boss, but probably initially the investment up front will be that you're working even more hours than what you did at a job where you were working for someone else. And there's a lot of reasons for that, okay? So let me tell you just a little bit about my experience. And I think this is the experience of a lot of creative people that I know. Most of the time, if you're a creative entrepreneur, you love what it is that you do. I love painting. I love creating. I love coaching women every single month. And because I love it so much, it often doesn't feel like work. And because it often doesn't feel like work and it feels like fun, I have to sometimes stop myself from working too much. And I know that that's the case with a lot of women. There is never a day that I wake up and think, crap, I stinking have to go to work today. Like that never happens. And let me tell you about the freedom that feels like. I mean, it makes every single hour and sweat and tear of hard work absolutely worth it when I no longer dread my job. It's an amazing blessing that I do not take for granted. But I will tell you that, there's the fact that most of us love what we do when we're in business for ourselves. So often, we just end up working more than what other people do. But if we really want to be successful in our business, you're going to find that at the beginning, you're going to be working a lot. You just are. And there will come times in your business because it'll ebb and flow and there'll be peaks and valleys where you can kind of take your foot off of the gas a little bit. But then there's going to be other times when you're going to be fast forward. So I know not this past summer, but the summer before, I pretty much took June, July, and August off. I pretty much just stayed home with the kids the entire summer. And, but I've worked, at that point, I'd worked 15 years to build up to that. a few years prior to that, if I had dreamt of taking off an entire quarter of the year, it wouldn't even have been something on my radar. But the longer you get in and the more revenue streams that you set up for yourself and the more that you diversify the way that you make an income and the more that you take things online, the more you'll be able to back off the number of hours that you're doing. It's funny because I think of that saying that says something like, people assume that all of a sudden you're just this huge success online. And, sometimes people will say that about me, like, how did you get so successful? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that saying? That it took 10 years to become an overnight success? Like, there's something to be said for just putting in your time and doing the work and being consistent. And you will have flexibility, but you're also going to have to work if you're going to want to be really successful. And so, so that's myth number 4. People think that you get to take all this time off. Wish I could tell you that was the truth, but that has not been my experience. So myth number 5, when you go to start your own business, is that everybody will support you. Woo-hoo! Rah-rah. And that is, unfortunately, just totally not the way it always is. Now, I'm not speaking about my personal experience, but I coach enough women every single month that I see this over and over and over again, that there will be sweet, talented, precious women in my group who have friends and family that just aren't supportive of them starting a new business. Often it's because they're worried about their financial future. That seems to be the number one thing that friends and family are worried about. How can you not go back to a 9-to-5 job? How are you not in a job that has PDOs? How do you think you're going to do this consistently? What is your plan? And, and I tell the people, the women that I coach every month that, sometimes we need to remember that Bible scripture that talks about guarding our heart. Now, guarding our heart doesn't necessarily mean not sharing with anyone, but we have to be really careful of who we're always sharing, the circle of people that we're sharing our dreams with. And I have found that the bigger your business gets, the smaller that group almost needs to become, so that you just have a few people who are not going to try to shoot holes in your ideas and your dreams, but are going to cheerlead you. Because the truth is, business ownership, it's scary stuff. You don't always know what's going to happen. You are completely in charge of the destiny of your business. And oftentimes, the financial success of your family is directly tied to that. And so if you have some thoughts and some dreams for a business, learn who you can and can't talk to about it, okay? And you can just do a few details and then, save the really complex, vulnerable thoughts and ideas for just a few people that you really, really trust and know will support you. I know that I'm coaching a woman right now who recently left her 6-figure job a year, and she is glittering shoes. She has started a business online, glittering shoes, and she is getting all into this business. I know she has family members, concerned about what are you going to do about insurance, and, you're not as young as you used to be, and all those sorts of things. And while all of those concerns are valid, when you are in that really vulnerable space of just starting out or trying some new things in your business, those are the types of things you don't need to hear. Okay, well, it's great to balance logical thinking. The logical thinkers of the world will shoot holes in the dreams of the creative people every day of the week. And, there's a couple weird, twisted reasons for that. I mean, perhaps they had a dream for their future and for their life and about a business, and they just let it go. Or maybe they've never had a dream and they're almost a little bit envious of the fact that you have something that you're striving to do that's different, and it makes them feel, almost convicted to a degree. And so whatever their reasoning is, just know that it probably has very little to do with you. And so guard who you're telling and get around a group of people who will link arms with you and do nothing but root you on and cheerlead you on. It's key. It's key for a successful creative business to get around like-minded individuals who think the same way you do and who understand, your mental concerns and some of the things that you're going through. So Myth number 6, that you're going to start making money right away. Now, listen, this sometimes is true, but not always is true. And so, sometimes you're spending a lot of time just setting up processes. You're setting up ways for people to spend money with you. You're trying to get a Pinterest page started. You're trying to get some groundwork and some leverage going on Facebook. A lot of times you're spending time initially setting up revenue streams that may not be paying you until a little bit further down the road. Okay. Things like getting a website set up. It takes time. It takes time to figure out how to get everything placed well, and to get pictures taken of your things, and to get the payment processing plans and all of that back stuff situated so that you can actually start making money. And so what I would suggest to you is to just really try hard to be consistent with all of those things. Invest some of the money that you make back into your business, to promoting your business. Do Facebook ads, buy some great training courses on how to build your business online fast. Every one of those business courses that I've taken have paid back tenfold. But, I find one of the hugest things to making money online is just to make sure that you're being consistent. Even things like just, posting on your Facebook page. Sometimes women who run creative businesses, they'll come into my coaching group and they'll say, gosh, I'm not getting a lot of engagement on my Facebook page, or I'm not making any sales from it. And I'll go take a peek at their Facebook page, and they haven't posted anything in 2 weeks. And before that, it was 4 days. And before that, it was 9 days. And then they posted twice in one day before that. And, there was a lack of consistency. And so you have to be consistent if you want to start seeing a consistent income from setting up a new business and putting it online. There has to be consistency. And I know for myself, I have not missed even one day, not even one day, my friends, posting on my Facebook page for probably the last 4 or 5 years. Not even one single day. I will bet anything that you want to on that fact. I don't miss a day. And because it's a priority to me, I know that it is key to where I want my business to take me. And so it's a non-negotiable. And so we all need some non-negotiables in our business. And that will be how we make our business super duper successful. So those are the 6 myths that I have about starting your own business. And I share all of those with you, not to discourage you, because business owning is like the best thing that has ever happened to me and my family. And I mean that with everything in me. But that statistic of 8 out of 10 businesses failing, when I read that, it was just a cry on my heart, thinking, okay, how can I help other women not fall into that statistic? How can I help them to be super successful so that, they're not maybe misbelieving some of those myths as they go into business ownership, just really eyes wide open. And so, in my final words here, just to encourage you, there is nothing that I love more, aside from my husband and children, of course, on this side of heaven, than just encouraging women and encouraging you that if God's given you a desire, if He's put an idea in your heart for a business, that it is worth every single tear. It's worth every sleepless night. It's worth every lost hour of sleep, every lost dollar that you may have to build that thing for you and your family, and to just walk out the dreams that maybe you've tucked into your heart for years and years and years, and just see what happens with them. And if I can be of any help to you, you can always drop me a line, and I'll do my best to just encourage you the very best way that I know how in your creative business, because I love business owners with everything in me. I think we are the funnest, weirdest, most diverse, interesting group of people on the planet. And so with that, we are going to end our podcast for today. I can't wait to be back here with you guys again next week. Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you're here and that you just listen week in and week out, and that you share the Jennifer Allwood Show with your friends and family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, go download the Stitcher app and you can subscribe there so that you know every single week when a new episode releases. Also, if you have any time to leave us a review, these reviews are super important in getting guests for the show and sponsors for the show. And so we'd appreciate it if you have just a second to leave us a review. That would be amazing. Thank you guys again for being here. And until next week, stay creative.